Daniel stood in front of the mirror, his reflection blurry in the morning light filtering through the thin curtains of his apartment. His tie dangled uselessly from his collar, refusing to cooperate no matter how many times he adjusted it. His hands trembled slightly, partly from nerves, partly from exhaustion. Today was supposed to be different. Today was supposed to be the day. For the past 2 years, life had been an uphill climb. After losing his job at the manufacturing plant during company downsizing, he had scrapped by with odd jobs delivering groceries, bussing tables, cleaning offices late at night. None of it was steady, and none of it was enough to provide the kind of security he wanted for his daughter. Every month, rent was a juggling act, bills stacked higher than his confidence, and sometimes he went to bed hungry just so Emma could eat. But this interview, while this was his shot, a managerial role at Crestline Enterprises, a company with stability, benefits, and growth. If he nailed this, everything could change. He had spent nights researching the company, memorizing facts, practicing answers in front of the mirror until Emma's giggles broke his concentration. "You're talking to yourself again, Daddy," she'd said, hugging his leg as he muttered responses to imaginary questions. He had crouched down, smoothing her hair. "I'm practicing, Bug. This job is really important for us." Emma had smiled, wide-eyed and confident. "You'll get it. You're the smartest daddy in the world." He wanted so badly to believe her. This morning, though, the universe seemed determined to test him. First, Emma had woken up cranky, refusing to eat her cereal because she claimed it tasted funny. Then, her shoelaces had knotted into what looked like a sailor's rope, and no amount of tugging or coaxing would undo them. When they finally made it out the door, the bus they depended on was already pulling away, rumbling down the street as Daniel jogged hopelessly after it, Emma bouncing in his arms. By the time they reached the next stop, Daniel's shirt was sticking to his back, his neatly ironed collar already damp. He checked his watch, barely enough time left. His stomach churned as he pictured walking into the interview late, disheveled, apologizing before he even spoke a word. Employers didn't hire latecomers, especially not for management positions. "Daddy," Emma tugged his hand, her soft voice pulling him back from the spiral. "Don't worry, you'll still do great." He forced a smile for her sake. "Thanks, Bug." They kept walking briskly toward the main road, where another bus might save them. That's when Daniel noticed her. A woman stood by the curb, a sleek black sedan with its hood popped open beside her. Steam hissed angrily from the engine, curling into the morning air. She wore a sharp gray blazer and heels that weren't meant for sidewalks, and in her hand she clutched a leather briefcase. Her phone was raised to the sky, but her expression told the starry no signal, no help. Daniel's first instinct was to keep walking. He simply didn't have time. Every second mattered. His entire future hinged on arriving at Crestline on time. But then Emma squeezed his hand. Her big brown eyes stared at the woman with concern. "Daddy," she whispered, "she needs help." Daniel's throat tightened. He looked at the woman again. She was clearly frustrated, maybe even desperate. For a moment, he stood frozen at two voices battling inside him. One shouted, "You'll blow your chance, keep moving." The other, softer but heavier, reminded him of something his father used to say, "Character is what you do when no one's watching." Finally, Daniel sighed. He crouched to Emma's level. "Sit here on the bench, okay? Don't move." She nodded solemnly, clutching her small backpack. "Okay, Daddy." Straightening, he approached the woman. "Looks like you're having car trouble. Need a hand?" She turned, relief flooding her features. Up close, Daniel noticed she had striking green eyes, though they were shadowed with stress. "Yes, please. The car just died, and I'm supposed to be across town for a meeting. My phone isn't getting any service out here." Daniel peered into the engine, memories stirring. Years ago, he'd spent weekends in his father's garage, learning the basics of car maintenance. He hadn't touched an engine in years, but some knowledge never left you. "Do you mind if I take a look?" he asked. "Please." "I don't know the first thing about cars," she admitted, stepping back. Daniel rolled up his sleeves and inspected the mess under the hood. It didn't take long to spot the culprit: a loose connection on the battery. Something simple, but enough to stall the entire vehicle. "Got any tools in the trunk?" he asked. She opened it, producing a small emergency kit. Daniel tightened the connection, wiped his hands on a rag, and gestured for her to try starting the car. She slid into the driver's seat, turned the key, and the engine roared back to life. The look on her face as she stepped out was pure gratitude. "You're a lifesaver," she said, her voice softer now. Her eyes flicked toward the bench, where Emma sat swinging her legs, patiently waiting. "And your daughter is very well behaved." Danielle smiled faintly. "She's used to waiting on me." The woman hesitated, as if debating something, then asked, "Were you in a hurry?" "You could have broken bar pressed for time." Daniel glanced at his watch. His chest sank. 15 minutes past his interview start time. By now, the hiring manager would have moved on to the next candidate. His chance was gone. He swallowed hard, forcing the disappointment down. "Just an interview," he said lightly, though the words tasted bitter. "Don't worry about it. Some things matter more." Her brows knit together. "An interview for a job?" He shrugged, trying to keep it casual. "Yeah, but it's fine. I'm glad I could help." He turned, ready to take Emma's hand and leave. His heart felt heavy, but he didn't want Emma to see the weight of it. He couldn't let her know how much he had pinned on today. "Wait," the woman called after him. He paused, looking back. She seemed to study him for a moment, as if trying to place him in her mind. But then she simply said, "Thank you." "Truly, you didn't have to stop." Daniel gave her a small smile. "I couldn't just walk by." Emma slipped her hand into his, looking up at him with a proud grin. "See, Daddy, you are a superhero." His throat tightened. He managed to laugh, ruffling her hair. "Come on, Bug, let's get moving." As they walked away, Daniel felt the sting of loss, his one shot at a steady life slipping through his fingers. But beneath that sting was also a strange warmth. He had done the right thing, even if it had cost him dearly. What he didn't know was that the woman was still watching them, her expression unreadable, something thoughtful sparking behind her green eyes. The phone rang on a Wednesday morning, just as Daniel was balancing a basket of laundry on one hip and trying to convince Emma that mismatched socks were fashionable. "Daddy," she giggled, waving a pink sack in the air, "these don't match." "My teacher will laugh at me." "Your teacher will say you're a trendsetter," Daniel replied with a grin, though his mind was elsewhere. He had been carrying the weight of failure since that missed interview. For days, he couldn't shake the image of walking into Crestline late, being turned away before he even had the chance to explain. So when the phone rang, his first instinct was to let it go. Bill collectors always seemed to know when he was most distracted. But something made him pick it up. "Hello?" he said, setting the basket down. "Mr. Daniels?" The voice on the other end was calm, confident. "This is Claire Reynolds. We met recently. Your daughter called you her superhero while you fixed my car." Daniel froze, the sack halfway to his hand. He remembered her instantly, of the woman in the gray blazer, the one whose car had stolen his shot at the interview. "Yeah, broken bar, yes, I remember," he said cautiously. "I hope you made it to your meeting." "I did," she replied warmly. "But what you don't know is that meeting was with my executive team. I'm the CEO of Crestline Enterprises." Daniel's breath caught. Crestline, the very company where he had wanted a chance to prove himself. His mind scrambled for words. "Gary Broken Bar, the CEO?" "Yes," she confirmed. There was a pause, then she added, "And after what you did that morning, I couldn't get you out of my head." Daniel blinked, unsure if he'd heard her correctly. "Yeah, I don't understand." "You gave up something important for a stranger," Claire continued, her tone thoughtful. "Most people wouldn't have stopped, but you did. You helped without asking for anything in return. That tells me more about your character than any RA-copyright sub-copyright could." Daniel's throat tightened. "Yeah, broken bar, well, I just did what anyone would do." "No," she said firmly, "not anyone." "That kind of integrity is rare." There was a silence in which Daniel could hear his own heartbeat pounding. He glanced at Emma, who was now watching him curiously, her head tilted. "What are you saying?" he asked slowly. "I'm saying," Claire replied, "I'd like you to come in tomorrow. Not for an interview or for a job. We'll adjust the role to fit your skills, but someone like you belongs on my team." Compassionate leaders are exactly the kind of people I want shaping this company. Daniel's knees nearly buckled. He sat down on the couch, the weight of her words sinking in. After months of rejection, after nights wondering if he was failing his daughter. Teaser, this was Hope. Are you a broken bar? Are you serious? He whispered. I don't make offers I don't mean, she said with a faint chuckle. I'll have HR send you the details, but I want you to know I trust my instincts, and my instincts tell me you're the kind of man who makes a difference. Daniel closed his eyes, fighting back the sting in them. Thank you. You won't regret this. I already know I won't, she said. See you tomorrow. When he hung up, he sat in stunned silence. Emma crawled onto his lap, her tiny hands cupping his face. Daddy? Who was that? He smiled through the tears he couldn't hold back. That was someone who believes in us. Bug. Looks like your daddy finally caught a break. Her eyes lit up. Does that mean a broken bar you got the job? It means, Daniel said, hugging her tight, that things are about to get a lot better. The next morning, Daniel stood outside Gressline's glass doors, his nerves jangling like loose change in his pocket. He wore the same suit he'd prepared for the interview, though the tie was tied a little straighter this time. Emma had helped him, declaring, now you look like a boss. He chuckled at the memory as he pushed the doors open. Inside, the building gleamed on marble floors, polished steel, and a buzz of energy from employees moving purposefully. He felt out of place. A man who had spent months wiping counters and washing dishes now stepping into the heart of a corporate giant. A receptionist greeted him warmly. Mr. Daniels, Miss Reynolds is expecting you. He was escorted up to the top floor, where the elevator doors opened into an office that seemed to overlook the entire city. Clara stood by the window, her silhouette framed by morning light. She turned as he entered, smiling. Daniel, she said, I'm glad you came. Thank you for this opportunity, he said earnestly. I don't know what to say. Don't thank me yet, she said with a twinkle in her eye. I expect you to work hard. He chuckled nervously. That, I can promise. They sat down, and Claire explained the role she had in mind. It wasn't the exact management position he had applied for, but it was closely an operations coordinator role with room to grow. It paid well, offered benefits, and most importantly, stability. I believe in promoting from within, she explained. Show me what you can do, and this could be the start of something long-term. Daniel nodded, his heart swelling. You won't regret this. Over the weeks that followed, Daniel threw himself into the work. He stayed late, learned quickly, and treated everyone with the same kindness he had shown that day on the roadside. His colleagues noticed. Some were skeptical at first, an outsider handpicked by the Shah, but soon his diligence won them over. What surprised him most was how much he enjoyed it. The problem-solving, the teamwork, the sense that his efforts mattered. For the first time in years, he woke up with purpose instead of dread. Emma noticed too. You smile more now, Daddy, she said one evening as they ate dinner together. And you don't look so tired. Daniel reached across the table, squeezing her hand. That's because things are finally looking up, Bug, for both of us. But what lingered most in his mind was Claire. She checked in occasionally, not like a distant executive, but like someone who genuinely cared. Once, after seeing him leave the office late, she stopped him. You remind me of my father, she said softly. He worked himself to the bone to give us a better life. I can see you're doing the same for your daughter. Daniel had swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. She's my whole world. Clara smiled. That kind of love makes for the best leaders. Months later, Daniel stood on the stage at Gressline's quarterly meeting, presenting a new project his team had successfully launched. The applause that followed washed over him, surreal and humbling. From a man who had once wondered how to keep the lights on, he had become someone who inspired others. In the front row, Claire clapped the loudest, her green eyes proud, and next to her, Emma sat swinging her legs, a special guest that day. She beamed at him, her voice carrying across the room as she shouted, "That's my daddy." The room erupted in laughter and more applause, but for Daniel, nothing mattered except that one small voice. Later, as they left the stage, Clara placed a hand on his shoulder. "You changed my life that morning. You know, I was so consumed by business that I forgot what really matters. But you reminded me." Daniel looked at her, humbled. "Funny, I thought I'd lost everything that day. Turns out, I gained more than I could have imagined." And he meant it, because sometimes, Life's detours aren't setbacks at all, they're the very paths that lead you exactly where you're meant to be.